All right, so today we're taking a deep dive into the Instax WIDE 400 instant camera
Ooh, fun.
to help you decide if it might be the right fit for you.
Sounds good.
We'll be looking closely at a review from TechWise Corner from January 22nd, 2025.
Excellent choice. Instant cameras are having a real moment right now.
Yeah, they really are.
Yeah, and there's just something about that tangible photo,
What?
that anticipation as it develops.
Yeah,
It taps into a different kind of satisfaction, I think, than digital photography.
for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So jumping right into things.
Yeah.
First impressions.
Okay.
This camera is rocking a seriously retro vibe, wouldn't you say?
It does, yeah, and that's intentional.
Okay.
The design leans heavily into that classic Instax look, but the key difference with this one is the size.
Right.
It's noticeably bigger than, say, an Instax Mini.
Yeah.
And that's all down to the film format.
Okay, so we're talking Instax wide film here, which
Right,
means
right.
you get those larger prints, almost 4 by 2.4 inches. So what does that mean for like everyday use?
Think about it this way.
Okay.
You're at a party taking a group shot.
Okay.
With those wide T, everyone is actually visible.
Right.
You can see the details, the expressions, the energy of the moment.
Yeah.
It's not just a sea of faces crammed into a tiny square.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like the difference between watching a movie on your phone and seeing it on the big screen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's not just about parties.
Right.
Landscapes, architecture, anything with a sense of scale. The wide format really shines.
Now, speaking of shining, let's talk about the camera's automatic exposure and flash control.
Okay.
The review raves about these features, especially for beginners.
And for good reason.
Okay.
The automatic exposure takes the guesswork out of getting well-lit photos. The camera assesses the available light and adjusts the shutter speed and aperture accordingly.
Okay, pause for a second. I know those terms can sound intimidating to someone who's not a photography pro.
Yep.
What do aperture and shutter speed actually mean in practical terms?
Good point. In simple terms, aperture controls how much light enters the lens.
Okay.
A wider aperture lets in more light, which is great for low-light situations.
Right.
Shutter speed controls how long the lens stays open.
Uh-huh.
A faster speed freezes action, while a slower speed can create that blurry artistic effect.
Oh, okay. So in this camera,
Yeah.
those settings are fixed, which means...
It means you point and shoot.
Okay.
The camera handles the technical stuff so you can focus on capturing the moment.
That's great for ease of use. But what about those who might want more creative control over their shots?
That's the trade-off for those who want to experiment with different exposures or lighting effects. The lack of manual controls could be a deal breaker.
That's a really good point. You're getting ease of use, but sacrificing some of that flexibility.
Exactly.
Now, another thing that caught my eye in the review was the intelligent flash.
Okay.
How's that different from a regular flash?
It's all about balance. A regular flash can sometimes be too harsh, especially in close-ups. The intelligent flash on this camera adjusts its intensity based on the ambient light so you don't get those washed-out faces.
So it's like a more nuanced, subtle kind of flash?
Exactly. It aims to complement the existing light rather than overpower it.
Okay, that's a nice touch, especially if you're trying to capture a more natural look.
Right.
Okay, on to something I was not expecting to see on an instant camera.
What's that?
A tripod socket.
Now, that was a pleasant surprise, wasn't it?
It was. What kind of possibilities does that open up?
It's huge in terms of creative potential.
Okay.
Think low-light shots, group photos where you're actually in the picture.
Right.
Even experimenting with long exposures to capture light trails or create that dreamy blurred motion effect.
So it's like this camera is blurring the lines between instant photography and more traditional artistic approaches.
It is, and that's one of the things that makes it so intriguing.
So we've got a camera with a retro look,
Uh-huh.
a larger film format for more impact, intelligent features to take the guesswork out of shooting,
Right.
and even a tripod socket for added creative freedom.
Mm-hmm.
But how do those photos actually look? What about picture quality?
Well, according to the review,
Okay.
the Instax WIDE 400 delivers that classic Instax look.
Okay.
Sharp images, vibrant colors, that slightly dreamy quality that people love.
Okay, so we've got the aesthetics down,
Yeah.
but the review did mention the lens having some limitations.
Yes. It seems to do well in most everyday situations,
Uh-huh.
but struggles with extreme close-ups and faraway subjects.
That makes sense. It's probably not the ideal camera for macro photography or wildlife shots.
Right. And then there's the fixed aperture and shutter speed, which we discussed earlier.
So great for casual shooting, but maybe not the best choice if you're looking to have fine-grained control over your exposures.
That's the trade-off.
Oh, and the review mentions a quirky little detail. The viewfinder isn't perfectly aligned.
Yes, a common quirk with instant cameras.
Oh, really?
And for some, it's part of the charm.
You mean it adds to that vintage feel?
Exactly, though. I can see how it might be frustrating for someone who's used to precision.
It's all about perspective, right?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so we've covered a lot about the camera itself.
Yeah.
But how does it actually feel to you? What's the user experience like?
That's what we'll dive into next. Stay with us.
Welcome back. We're deep in our exploration of the Instax WIDE 400, and now it's time to talk about what it's actually like to use this camera.
So imagine this. You're out with friends,
Okay.
maybe exploring a new part of town,
Mm-hmm.
and you spot a scene you just have to capture.
Okay.
With this camera, there's no fiddling with settings,
Right.
no menus to scroll through.
Uh-huh.
You just frame the shot, press the button, and boom, you've created a tangible memory.
There's something really appealing about that simplicity, especially in our world of constant digital overload.
Right.
It's like a mini digital detox.
Exactly. It forces you to slow down, to be present in the moment, to really appreciate the art of capturing a fleeting scene.
The review does highlight how straightforward it is to load the film and operate the camera.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the elephant in the room.
Okay.
This isn't exactly a pocket-sized camera, is it?
It's not that WIDE film format means a bulkier body.
Right.
And that has implications for how and when you might use it.
So this isn't the camera you toss in your purse for a night out or take on a backpacking trip where every ounce matters?
Probably not. It's more of a deliberate choice.
Okay.
You're bringing this camera along when you know you'll be using it, when you want those larger prints and that analog experience.
That makes sense. It's more of a statement piece, a way to say, I'm choosing to capture this moment in a special way.
I like that it's a conscious decision to create something tangible, something you can hold and share.
And that brings us to another important consideration, the cost.
Yes,
Instax WIDE film is pricier than the mini format, right?
it is. You're paying for those larger prints for that wire canvas. And that's a factor to consider if you're on a budget or tend to be a trigger-happy photographer.
Right, those packs of film can add up quickly.
They do.
So this might be a camera for more special occasions, for those moments you really want to preserve in a larger format.
Exactly. It's about quality over quantity.
Okay.
Each shot becomes more deliberate, more precious.
It's like the difference between sending a quick text and writing a handwritten letter.
Oh, I like that.
Both have their place.
Yeah.
But that letter carries a different kind of weight, a different emotional resonance.
I love that analogy, and it ties back to what we were saying about the resurgence of analog experiences.
Yeah.
In a world where everything is instantaneous and digital, there's something really satisfying about slowing down and creating something tangible.
Absolutely. And it's not just about the act of taking the photo, it's about the experience of watching that print develop,
Yeah.
of seeing the image slowly emerge. It's magical.
It is. And the Instax WIDE 400 with its larger format really enhances that magic.
Right.
The prints are big enough to display, to share, to become conversation pieces.
We've talked about portability and cost. But what about battery life? That's always a concern with cameras.
This is where the Instax WIDE 400 gets practical.
Okay.
It uses AA batteries, which are readily available pretty much anywhere.
So no need to worry about proprietary chargers or scrambling to find an outlet.
Exactly. And depending on how much you use the flash,
Okay.
a set of batteries can last through several packs of film.
Wow.
That's pretty impressive, especially if you're traveling or attending an event where you'll be taking a lot of photos.
That peace of mind is invaluable.
Uh,
Okay, so we've explored the design, the features, the user experience, and the cost considerations. But now it's time to bring it all together.
Indeed, is the Instax WIDE 400
Yeah.
the right camera for you? That's what we'll be tackling next. Stay tuned.
All right, so welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into the Instax WIDE 400. We've covered a lot, from the retro design and those larger format prints to more practical things like the portability and the cost. Now it's decision time.
Yeah.
Is the Instax WIDE 400 the right camera for you?
That is the question.
And I think to answer that, we need to think about what you're looking for in a camera.
Right.
How do you see yourself using it?
Exactly. If you prioritize portability, if you want something you can just slip in your pocket,
Yeah.
this probably isn't the one for you.
Right. And if you really like having manual control
Yes.
over all the settings,
Yeah.
then those automatic features might feel limiting.
But if you're drawn to that magic of instant photography,
Yeah.
if you love the idea of creating something you can hold and share,
Those tangible memories.
exactly, then this camera has a lot to offer.
Especially if you're into those larger prints.
Yes.
You can really step into the scene.
I'm picturing a family gathering,
Okay.
a holiday dinner or a graduation party. Everyone's actually visible.
Right. You're not all crammed in.
No more blur of faces.
And imagine putting these in a scrapbook.
Ooh, yeah.
Writing little captions, creating that visual story.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not just about capturing the moment.
No, it's creating something lasting.
And even if you're not like a photography expert,
Right.
you're still going to get those great, well-lit photos.
Because of those features we talked about.
Right. The intelligent flash, the auto exposure.
It takes the guesswork out, so you can just enjoy.
And we can't forget about that tripod socket.
Oh, yeah. You don't see that often.
What are some things you could do with that?
Well, imagine a long exposure shot at night.
Okay.
You could capture the streaks of car lights.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
Or the city skyline.
Or a sunset on vacation.
Yes, using the tripod to keep it steady.
So it really is more than just a camera.
It's a different way of seeing and capturing the world.
It's an invitation
To slow down.
to appreciate those tangible photos.
And to create memories you can hold on to.
So we hope this deep dive has helped you decide if this is the right camera for you.
Happy shooting.